टू बियॉन्ड क्लासरूम प्रोग्राम। आज के एपिसोड में हम बात करने वाले हैं इजराइल और पैलेस्तीन के वॉर की। वाई दिस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट स्टार्टेड, व्हाट आर द रीजन्स, व्हाट आर द हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव, हाउ इट विल इम्पैक्ट द इंडियाज इकोनॉमी, बंकर कैसे बनते हैं और बंकरों को बनाने में क्या टेक्नोलॉजी होती है, what is the Israel's defense technology which saves the attack from the other countries, and what are the historical and political, social and religious aspects. All these things we are going to discuss, and for the discussion we have the NEXT IAS panel, and I would like to introduce the panel members. So, Mathimaran Raju, the expert of the world history, then we have Mr. Reddy, the economic issues, and then we have Mr. Ayaz Khan to talk about the technological aspects of the defense technology, science and technology expert, and then we have the Mr. Piyush for the discussion on the international relations and the other related aspects. And friends, I am B. Singh, founder and director, NEXT IAS. तो जो इजराइल के बारे में कहा जाता है कि 1917 मतलब फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर के पहले इजराइल का अस्तित्व बहुत ही बिखरा हुआ था, बट ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम अलग अलग स्टेजेस में इसका फॉर्मेशन हुआ. एंड इट इज बिलीव दैट आफ्टर फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर व्हेन द ब्रिटिश ऑक्युपाइड द इजराइल एंड when they came into the picture, then there was the immigration of the Israelis, which we say that most of the people who are the resident of Israeli, they started coming in. फिर 1947 में ब्रिटिश फोर्सेस विड्रॉल स्टार्टेड एंड 1948 में अरब इजराइल वॉर वाज फॉट एंड दैट इज नोन एज द इंडिपेंडेंस वॉर फॉर द इजराइल. 1967 में एक और वॉर हुआ जिसमें इजराइल, जॉर्डन, इजिप्ट, सीरिया इन्वॉल्व थे, और 1967 तक गाजा वाज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ द इजिप्ट, गाजा पट्टी, एंड वेस्ट बैंक वाज अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ द जॉर्डन. लेकिन 1967 में 6 डेज वॉर हुआ जिसमें इजराइल ने इन दोनों टेरिटरीज को अपने कंट्रोल में लिया. देन इन 1995 ओस्लो अवार्ड वाज साइंड एंड अंडर द यूनाइटेड नेशंस this thing, and this Israel territory was Palestinian territory was divided in 3 parts, and one was under the control of Israel, second was under the joint control, and third was under the control of Palestinian people. In 2007 Hamas became very active and they seized Gaza, and Gaza has been in the Hamas control since 2007. In last year on 23rd October 2023, Hamas attacked in Israel, and around 1200 people were killed and 200 people were made hostages. Then Israel attacked on the Hamas and declared a war to eliminate the Hamas, and it is believed that from Gaza alone more than 40,000 people have died. And recently Israel attacked on Hezbollah and operating from the Lebanon. And then we see recently the last episode, Iran fired the missiles on the Israel, means Iran attacked. अब ये क्यों हो रहा है? This is what we have talked. Now let us try to understand the insight of the complete story. The first question I will take Mathimaran Raju from you. What is the historical perspective of the Israel?
Okay, sir. If you look at the Jewish community, historically, they had been persecuted by a multitude of rulers from different territories. For example, we see the Assyrians, Babylonians, Romans, the Christians persecuting the Israelis over time, over centuries, in fact. But as a matter of fact, the Muslim Arabs had started tolerating the Israelis better, the Jews better. Because they had cultural similarities with the Jews, as well as they also were sons of a monotheistic faith. And this relationship continued for some time, but eventually the Jewish community started spreading to different countries and continents of the world almost simultaneously. But this influential community did not have a homeland, despite being so influential and rich. And so a Jew called Theodor Herzl in the late 19th century came up with a proposal that the Jews should have a homeland in the Palestine territory. But at that point of time, Palestine was under Ottoman sultans. So he tried to broker a deal with the Ottoman sultans and he promised to pay the debts of Turkey, but the Ottomans did not approve that deal. So they were against this proposal, and eventually the Jews started lobbying in different countries. During the First World War, around 1917, a declaration had been made by the British. It's called Balfour Declaration, and they promised a sort of a homeland to the Jews in Palestinian territory, not exactly a country, but a homeland.
Just after the First World War.
During the First World War. During the First World War in 1917, they promised a sort of a homeland, not exactly a country. They were very tricky about it. And once the World War ended, the Ottoman Sultan lost most of his territories due to a treaty called Treaty of Severus. And mandates were created, and Palestinian territory became a mandate of the British. And as per the Oslo Accords, as per the Balfour Declaration, the Britishers slowly started allowing the Jews to settle in the Palestinian territory. But the problem was, the Jewish population in the Palestinian territory, which was roughly 6% in the 1920, had increased by sixfold. It had become 33% by 1946.
So it was due to immigration?
It was immigration, it was pure immigration. But the Jews were also very tricky about it, because the Jews started purchasing the land from the poor Palestinian Arabs. And through this land purchase, they started influencing the territory. And once this happened, local riots started between the Palestinian Arabs and the Jews. And Britain was forced to regulate the immigration, and because the conflicts were going on between the Arabs and the Jews. And once Britain tightened the regulations, the Jews developed a Jewish militia called Haganah to fight against the British regulations as well as the Palestinian Arabs. And at this juncture, Second World War happened. Hitler massacred at least about 50% of the Jewish population in the world. And the world's sympathy was with the Jews at that point of time. So gradually after the Second World War, the perception of the world was towards the Jews. And by 1947, United Nations passed a declaration, United Nations Resolution of 181 Clause 2. And according to this, they approved the state of Israel. And in 1948, Israel was established as an independent state. And once the state was established, a war started.
अभी अयाज जी आपसे एक थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल भी पूछूंगा कि recently we have read in newspaper and seen Israel tried to kill Hezbollah leaders through the pager and the walkie-talkie blast. तो ये टेक्नोलॉजी क्या थी and how it works?
सर बेसिकली इसके पीछे रीज़न तो ये था कि हिजबुल्लाह के लोगों को लग रहा था कि अगर वो कन्वेंशनल मोबाइल टेक्नोलॉजी यूज़ कर सकें तो इसराइल उसको इन्फिल्ट्रेट कर लेगा। तो उन्होंने एक बहुत ही जिसको आज की तारीख में आउटडेटेड टेक्नोलॉजी बोले पेजर की तरफ गए। तो अगर सर इस तरह का कोई भी एक्सप्लोजिव बनाना होता है तो उसमें 5 चीज़ों की हमको ज़रूरत पड़ती है। पहले तो एक पावर सोर्स, फिर एक इनिशिएटर जो कि एक सिग्नल आएगा उसको, फिर एक डिटोनेटर, फिर एक्सप्लोजिव, फिर इसको एक कवर में लगा देना है।
राइट,
ये 5 चीज़ें चाहिए। मगर जब हम पेजर देखें तो उसमें बैटरी ऑलरेडी लगी हुई है। तो आपको इसमें सिर्फ 2 चीज़, इनिशिएटर भी है जो कि सिग्नल को रिसीव करेगा, जो ट्रांसमीटर है जो कि रेडियो फ्रीक्वेंसी पे काम करता है, जैसे कि हम RFID जो फास्टैग में लगा होता है वैसे ही सिग्नल की तरह वो काम करता है, और केस भी है। तो उन्होंने बहुत ही ऑब्वियसली एक बहुत ही सोफिस्टिकेटेड तरीके से, जिसको कि कोई भी एक्सरे स्कैनर से पिक नहीं किया जा सकता, उस बैटरी के अंदर एक्सप्लोजिव को लेस किया।
ओके, so it was a planted, and that plantation must have happened long
yes,
back?
At the time when you're making the pager.
Okay, it means they started
it was a well planned.
Well planned. फिर उस कंपनी को इन्होंने डमी कंपनी बनाया होगा।
जी जी। तो if I quote इंडियन आर्मी चीफ, मैं उनका एक शॉर्ट देख रहा था कि war is not started when you attack, the war starts when you start planning for it.
Right.
तो वो एक बहुत सोफिस्टिकेटेड प्लानिंग थी जिसको सबको एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए इस बात को, कि ऐसा नहीं कि पेजर में उन्होंने कुछ भी लगा कर दे दिया। उन्होंने मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में गए सर, और उस पेजर की जो बैटरी है उसके अंदर, क्योंकि अगर आप बाहर से एक्सप्लोजिव लगाएंगे तो एक्सरे मशीन और कोई भी बहुत सिंपल तरीके से उसको पिक किया जा सकता है। तो सिर्फ 2 चीज़ें ऐड करनी थी सर उनको, एक डिटोनेटर और एक्सप्लोजिव।
तो यहाँ पर एक कंसर्न मैं इंडिया की तरफ से रेज कर रहा हूँ कि लाइक पीपल ऑफ इंडिया दे आर यूजिंग दी फोन्स विच आर मैन्युफैक्चर्ड इन चाइना।
जी सर, जी।
एंड इंडिया चाइना रिलेशंस आर वेल नोन।
जी सर।
तो क्या कभी ऐसा हो सकता है, या देयर इज चांस कि चाइना माइट act in a similar way, कोई ऐसे चिप वेप लगा के फ़ोन में जो सस्ते फ़ोन आ रहे हैं चाइना मैन्युफैक्चर्ड और मास ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ इंडिया इज
सर अब अगर हम ये पेजर में देखें जो कि बहुत ही आउटडेटेड सी टेक्नोलॉजी है, तो मोबाइल तो इसके कंपैरिजन में एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी है,
राइट,
और इसका अगर प्रोलिफरेशन पेनिट्रेशन देखा जाए सोसाइटी में तो बहुत ज़्यादा है। तो सर पॉसिबिलिटी तो पूरी एग्जिस्ट करती है, और जहाँ तक मैंने कहीं पढ़ा भी है शायद, आई थिंक वी हैव बिकम quite careful after this incident which has happened, and rightly so. और इसमें there is no doubt, sir. In the past as well.
I would like to add something. I don't think that China will ever try to go for this one, and there is a different perception about it. The market of China related to the mobile is very huge, and the pager market is a outdated market. And actually it was all supplied from one old company from Taiwan basically. And if something happened to the Chinese mobile, so just think about the Chinese mobile market across the world basically.
And second thing which reminds me also कि pagers were used by a selective group of people who were belonging to the Hezbollah.
Yes sir, उन्हीं को टारगेट
करना आसान था. But when it comes to the mass production
मुश्किल है
and not limited to only India.
बट सर, और इसमें एक चीज़ और भी मैं ऐड करना चाहूँगा सर की ही लाइन में, कि सर जो मैंने पढ़ा है, हालांकि मैक्स इसमें डिसएग्रीमेंट हो सकता है, कि चाइना इज़ नॉट शेपिंग द वर्ल्ड थ्रू आर्म फोर्सेस, चाइना इज़ ट्राइंग टू शेप द वर्ल्ड थ्रू इकोनॉमी, और इसीलिए उनका एम्फेसिस जो है वो बेल्ट एंड रोड इस तरह की चीज़ों पर ज़्यादा है। तो अगर हम देखें सर की बात बिल्कुल सही है कि वो शायद ऐसा नहीं करेंगे, जहाँ तक मुझे लगता है। जी
पीयूष जी, Iran is the main axis in this war. Ultimately, वो ईरान आ ही गया पिक्चर में. So how do you see Iran, Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, and Israel? How they are linked or dislinked?
So that's a very good question. So before answering this, I'll just explain geopolitical situation of West Asia. Normally in West Asia, there is a 3 power centers. One is Saudi Arabia, other is Iran, and third one is Israel. So the West Asian politics is divided between Shia and Sunni as well as Israel. But if you look at the Shia population, it is hardly 10%, and 90% population is a Sunni population. So, and Americans also keep on supporting to the Saudi Arabia as well as Israel. So in geopolitical game or in regional dominance game, Iran is far behind. It cannot compete with both of the powers. Although in terms of advancement, Iran was much better in comparison to the Saudi Arabia, not Israel. So Iran was, after specifically sanctioned, Iran was having no option to make allies to maintain its dominance. So what Iran changed its strategy. Iran started collaborating with a lot of Shia groups, nurturing Shia groups, even if they are non-state actors. And they try to push them even to get the power in multiple countries. How these are the classic example of this. If you look into the Hezbollah, they also are Shia and they control a vast territory in Lebanon. And it was Iranian backed movement in Lebanon was there. So Iran is trying to play its politics inside the region, not only with alliance of the nation state, but also with the non-state actors. In this composition, what he called this axis of resistance, in which he included Hamas, this Houthis, and this Hezbollah. So along with them, they are trying to counter the power of Arabs, as well as trying to take the leadership by opposing Israel and supporting Palestine in the region.
एक हम लोग कहावत कहते हैं बलि का बकरा, तो कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि अमेरिका would like to prove the dominance in the West Asia, for that reason these people are made bali ka bukra?
Look, if you go into the history, the fundamental reason behind the creation of Israel is one of the serving the American geopolitics in the region. Although Iran's, US shared very good relationship with the Iran till 1979, but after the Iranian revolution, Iran moved out of US camp. But Saudi Arabia is still close ally of United States of America. Israel is also close ally of United States of America. So American strategy in the West Asia is all about to shape the West Asian order. and to keep a tab on all these players. So it's keep on playing with, and let me tell you a very interesting fact. Earlier, whenever the fight started between proxies of Iran and Israel, so war should not escalate. America and Iran both worked together. So this war should not escalate because America and Iran both were not ready to handle the escalation of the war.
This war in West Asia may result in the rise of prices of crude oil. So, Mr. Reddy, how do you see this conflict or the war will impact India's crude oil import or the rise of the prices of the crude oil?
See, sir, anything happen in the globe, indirectly or directly there is impact on economy, sir. And as we all aware, 87% of our energy needs are import dependent.
Right.
So in this context, the Middle East play very, very important role for us because 60% of our imports of energy comes from this area, sir. So now, if you see the impact of this war especially, we can divide into 4 aspects, sir. Number 1 is increase the crude oil prices.
Right.
So if crude oil prices go up, the industries who are using the crude oil as a raw material, for example, transportation industry, even energy, especially households, etc., the price is going to shoot up, sir. So inflation, number 1 is impact on inflation.
Right.
So as we all aware, if inflation is there, the common man get affected. Then input prices for the industry also increases, then their profit margin decreases. So indirectly it has impact on stock market also.
Correct.
Point number 2, sir. Point number 3, current account deficit. As very simply, current account deficit means we are buying more from abroad than selling, sir.
Right.
Simply outflow of our money is more, inflow is less.
Yes.
So because of this oil prices increases, current account deficit is going to increase. There is a simple relation, sir. If a barrel of petrol increases by $10, in a year our $15 billion is added to our current account deficit.
Okay.
So number 3, sir. Number 4, remittances, sir. So as we all aware, Gulf countries play important role for our what you call migrants, especially blue collar works, etc. So last year we got around $120 billion remittances. This year, according to the World Bank, we may get around $135 billion of remittances. So if this war will continue like this, so their employment get affected, sir, and definitely our remittances get affected, and whoever getting those remittances, our families, their living standards get affected, especially Kerala, Punjab, especially Maharashtra, etc. So there is impact on domestic consumption also. If domestic consumption get affected, then GDP get affected. So it is impacting the GDP also. And so there is always pressure on government. Whenever the prices rise, they will give a lot of subsidies because we are a democratic country, sir. So elections are there. So we are forced to give subsidies. The moment we are giving subsidies, fiscal deficit also increases.
Right. So you have linked everything coming from the
Yes, sir. So if fiscal deficit increases, government has to borrow more money. If government is borrowing more money, less money available to the private sector, then private sector is moving out of investment, the crowding out of it will take place.
Right.
Then it have impact on GDP growth rate also. Like that as a vicious cycle, sir.
I think you are going to further link to unemployment, how this can create
Yes,
the
sir. I want to add that point, sir. Very interesting. Sir, in Gulf countries especially, sir, if you see this impact, in Palestine, especially Israel, so the talented people are moving out of these areas, sir.
Yeah.
That is the human capital get affected.
And there are many Indians who are working in the Arab countries, and now because of this issue going on, many people will be coming back.
True, sir.
They may be in threat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Raju, I will be coming to you. What do you see the reason behind the recent conflict or the war which has started?
Sir, from the historical perspective, religion proves to be the background.
Yeah.
But the recent conflicts go back decades, sir. Actually, we are talking about the establishment of Israel in 1948. After the establishment of Israel, Iran became the second Muslim majority country. Ironically, Iran became the second Muslim majority country in the world to officially recognize the state of Israel. But Iranians suggested another solution to the United Nations. Actually, they wanted to create a federal setup in the territory of Palestine. A common parliament with cantons of the Arabs and the Jews. Such good relationship was maintained, as sir told, till 1979. Once the Iranian revolution of 1979 happened, Ayatollah Khomeini came to power, the things started going south. The first problem is the fundamentalist ideas of this Islamist regime in Iran. These Iranian Islamists, they consider Israel to be an outpost of Western colonialism. And Zionism to them is an expression of imperialism. The basic conflict starts there. That is why they don't recognize Israel. And the group sponsored by Iran, allegedly sponsored by Iran, they are anti-Israel. That proves to be the very basis of the conflict. And second thing, it has, as Sir told, it has become a geopolitical issue. The two powers, Iran and Israel, are competing against each other for power and hegemony over this territory.
Okay.
And the whole world, particularly the West, is using this to their advantage. That's the problem.
Ayaz ji, Israel has established its name for the defense system, especially when it comes to the technology. तो जो ये आयरन डोम टेक्नोलॉजी है, हाउ यू कंपेयर इट विद द इंडियाज BMD?
सर आयरन डोम का बैकग्राउंड है कि 2006 में जो वॉर हुआ था, उसमें जो पैलेस्टीनियन टेरिटरी है वहाँ से रॉकेट्स वगैरह फायर किए गए थे इजराइल पर, और उससे एक कंसिडरेबल डैमेज हुआ. उसके बाद US ने इस प्रोग्राम को फंड किया. बेसिकली आयरन डोम एक उनका जो 8 टियर्ड एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम है उसका एक हिस्सा है, और ये एक पूरी तरह से ऑटोमेटिक सिस्टम होता है सर. इसमें 3-4 चीज़ें होती है सर. एक है, सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है रडार सर. रडार का काम है कि कोई भी अगर प्रोजेक्टाइल आ रहा है उसको डिटेक्ट करना सर. उसको डिटेक्ट करके फिर सर एक और रडार होती है जिसको लॉन्ग रेंज रडार कहते हैं, वो उस पर लॉक हो जाती है. लॉक का मतलब है कि वो रडार उस ऑब्जेक्ट को स्ट्राइक करके वापस आ रही है, और एक बहुत ही सोफिस्टिकेटेड सा कंप्यूटर सिस्टम होता है. वो उस रिफ्लेक्टेड रडार्स के बेस पर वो जो इनकमिंग ऑब्जेक्ट है उसकी पूरी डिटेल्स फाइंड आउट, कैलकुलेट कर लेता है कि किस एल्टीट्यूड पे है, क्या उसका रेट ऑफ डिसेंट है, और कहाँ जाकर इसको स्ट्राइक करना है सर. और अगर उनका असेसमेंट ये कहता है कि ये मिसाइल ऐसी जगह पर जाकर गिर रहा है जो कि नो मैंस लैंड है, या जहाँ पर कोई कंसिडरेबल डैमेज नहीं होगा, तो उसको जाने देता है. या फिर उनको लगता है कि ये बहुत क्रिटिकल एरिया पर जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा पॉपुलेशन है, या और भी कुछ ऐसे इंपॉर्टेंट इंस्टॉलेशंस हैं,
डिफेंस बेस एयरपोर्ट है.
जी सर, जी सर. तो फिर एक लास्ट पार्ट होता है सर मिसाइल फायरिंग यूनिट. वहाँ से वो इंटरसेप्टर फायर करते हैं जिसकी स्पीड 9 टाइम्स द स्पीड ऑफ साउंड तक हो सकती है, और वो जाकर सर इसमें आयरन डोम में एक दो सर, ये जो इंटरसेप्टर टेक्नोलॉजी इसमें 2 तरीके से होता है सर. एक तो हिट टू किल. हिट टू किल मतलब जैसे सर, जैसे रामायण सीरियल जो आता था सर, हम सब ने देखा, उसमें वो जो तीर चलते थे तो वो दोनों आपस में जाकर टकरा जाते, वो हिट टू किल टेक्नोलॉजी है, और वो इजराइल आयरन डोम में यूज़ नहीं कर रहा है सर. दूसरी है सर एक्सप्लोसिव टेक्नोलॉजी. जैसे मान लीजिए कि ये मिसाइल आ रहा है तो ये आयरन डोम उसके पास आकर ये बर्स्ट हो जाएगा सर. तो ये तो सर आयरन डोम है. बट सर आयरन डोम अगर हम देखें तो इंडिया के केस में इतना एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता, क्योंकि इंडिया का जो साइज़ है तो, और इजराइल का साइज़ ऑब्वियसली देयर इज नो कंपैरिजन सर, तो वहाँ पर तो बहुत इफेक्टिव है. इंडिया के लिए अभी तक हम ऐसा कोई पूरी कंट्री का मिसाइल शील्ड नहीं बना पाए हैं, मगर हमने जो बनाया सर 2006 में हमने बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल डिफेंस. 98 में सर वाजपेयी साहब ने जब हमने न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट किया 98 का ऑपरेशन शक्ति, उसके बाद DRDO ने बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल डिफेंस पर काम शुरू किया.
इसी में क्रॉस क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा
जी सर,
कि जैसे एयरक्राफ्ट में होता है वो स्टील्थ टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज करते हैं ताकि वो रडार इंटरसेप्ट ना कर सके, तो क्या मिसाइल में भी इस तरह
सर मिसाइल्स में भी स्टेल्थ होती है सर, और उसको कई तरह के सर इसमें स्टेल्थ होता है. एक तो हम इसको किसी केमिकल से कोट कर देते हैं जो रडार को एब्जॉर्ब कर ले, या फिर हम रडार का क्रॉस सेक्शन कम कर देते हैं, और तीसरा सर मिसाइल्स में हो या कोई भी एयरक्राफ्ट हो उसमें से जो हीट होती है इंफ्रारेड सिग्नेचर भी होता है. बट सर अभी तक जहाँ तक मेरी जानकारी है परफेक्ट स्टेल्थ कोई नहीं बना पाया, तो कहीं ना कहीं डिटेक्शन के चांसेस रहते हैं सर.
तो अब अभी हम लोगों ने देखा था कि न्यूज़ में पढ़ा, आपने देखा होगा कि जब ये अभी हिजबुल्लाह के हेडक्वार्टर पे अटैक किया इजराइल ने,
जी जी,
तो वो जो ब्लास्ट किए, बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट किए, वो ब्लास्ट इतने स्ट्रांग थी कि उन्होंने बंकर को भी डैमेज करा एंड बस्ट किया.
जी जी.
तो ये क्या कोई अलग तरह के बॉम्ब्स होते हैं?
सर इसमें कई तरह के बॉम्ब्स होते हैं. एक तो लाइक देयर आर बॉम्ब्स व्हिच कैन ऑब्वियसली पेनिट्रेट क्वाइट डीप इनटू द बंकर आल्सो. Like I'm not getting exactly the name of the chemical as of now, but the heat generated is quite is quite severe. Like one of them is TNT, which is being used, trinitrotoluene. तो जिसको कि हम इनफैक्ट जब न्यूक्लियर टेस्ट का जो कंपैरिजन करते हैं तो उसकी हीट के जरिए करते हैं. सच टाइप ऑफ एक्सप्लोजिव्स आर यूज्ड.
दोस्तों मैं आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि जो ये बंकर बनते हैं ना, विच आर वेरी रेजिस्टेंट टू दी सच ब्लास्ट, तो दीज बंकर्स आर मेड अंडरग्राउंड, और जिनको हम टनल भी कहते हैं. और आप ऐसे समझ लीजिए कि जैसे कि हमारे मेट्रो टनल होती है, जैसे अंडरग्राउंड मेट्रो बनती है, टेक्नोलॉजी सिमिलर है बट देयर इज ए डिफरेंस इन स्ट्रेंथ. तो पूरा ये कंक्रीट की बनी होती है, बट हाई स्ट्रेंथ कंक्रीट एंड हाई स्ट्रेंथ स्टील यूज होती है. एंड देयर कैन बी 3 लेयर्स. फर्स्ट लेयर जो आउटर लेयर होगी कंक्रीट की, फिर सेंटर में उसमें कोई एब्जॉर्प्शन करने वाली कोई ऐसा मटेरियल, जैसे कि सैंड हो सकती है, रबर हो सकती है, जो वाइब्रेशन को एब्जॉर्ब कर ले, वो लेयर होती है. फिर एक इनसाइड एक फिनिश लेयर है, वो फिर एक स्टील की या मेटल की या फिर कंक्रीट की या फिर आरसीसी की लेयर हो सकती है. सो दीज आर दी 3 डिफरेंट लेयर्स. जब ब्लास्ट होता है तो उस समय एक तो हीट प्रोड्यूस होती है, दूसरा वाइब्रेशन प्रोड्यूस होता है, और तीसरा जो एक इम्पैक्ट है जिसकी वजह से टेंसाइल स्ट्रेसेस और कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेसेस डेवलप होते हैं, वो मैकेनिज्म होती है. तो जो ये मटेरियल हम यूज कर रहे हैं बंकर बनाने में, तो कंक्रीट कैन withstand the compression forces, steel can withstand the tensile forces, और जो उसमें रबर या सैंड यूज कर रहे हैं that can withstand the shock, that can absorb the shock. जैसे अगर आप इंडिया की जो रिसेंट हमारे न्यू पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग बनी है, तो इसमें जो आउटर वॉल है उसको भी इसी तरह की फायर रेजिस्टेंट या ब्लास्ट रेजिस्टेंट बनाया गया है. तो इसको ब्लास्ट के अगेंस्ट भी रेजिस्टेंट होती है, और जो फायर प्रोड्यूस होती है वो उस फायर को भी रजिस्ट करती है. तो ये टेक्नोलॉजी यूज होती है. बट कुछ चीज़ों का बहुत ध्यान रखना होता है इसके अंदर कि वन टनलिंग शुड हैव ए कंप्लीट वेंटिलेशन, देन देयर शुड बी वाटर प्रूफिंग, देयर शुड बी द एयर सर्कुलेशन, देयर शुड बी द मूवमेंट एंड स्टोरेज एंड वाटर प्रोविजन. तो इसमें बहुत सारे और भी चीज़ें हैं, जैसे सर्विसेज हैं, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है, सप्लाई, इस सब को बनाया जाता है. तो इट्स लाइक ए बेसमेंट होम, इट्स अंडरग्राउंड होम. तो एक तो ऊपर सॉइल की लेयर हो गई, नीचे फिर कंक्रीट, एक सॉइल इटसेल्फ इज ए रेजिस्टेंट, एंड देन कंक्रीट है, फिर स्टील है, अब फिर बीच में उसके भरा हुआ है, दैट इज नथिंग बट दिस सॉइल एब्जॉर्ब मींस शॉक एब्जॉर्बिंग मटेरियल. सो कमिंग टू यू, what are the short term and the long term economic consequences? आपसे मेरा सवाल है कि शॉर्ट टर्म एंड लॉन्ग टर्म इकोनॉमिक कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस क्या है इंडिया में?
सर इंडिया के लिए स्पेसिफिकली वी हैव राइट नो सर एनर्जी इश्यूज तो है, नंबर 1 सर. नंबर 2 सर, इफ दिस एरिया राइट नो प्लेइंग इंपॉर्टेंट रोल फॉर अस, not only they are investing in India, even Indian businessmen investing a lot there in hospitality, in construction and especially infrastructure, sir. So our outflow of FDI get affected, sir, because businessmen don't want to take risk right now. Number 3, sir, even nowadays India exporting, sir, agricultural products, especially after we signed SEPA with UAE. Now the talks are going with other Gulf countries also. That may get delayed, sir. Another one is in the G20 meeting recently, they want such infrastructure connectivity, India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, sir. That is also going to get delayed, sir. And in the long run, sir, most importantly, our diaspora, they may get affected, they may feel insecure there. So that also get affected, sir. But if you see the specific to this area, sir, in area of Gulf countries where this war is happening, there are 4 or 5 concerns in short term. One is inflation increases, food security get affected, sir, and refugee crisis. And yeah, sir, you know, whenever there is a war, government forced to spend a lot on defense expenditure. So it is going to compromise spending on education, health, and automatic human development get affected. These are all traditional concerns in that area specific, sir.
Piyush ji, what are the Israel's fundamentals to deal with their neighbors? And
so before going into what are Israel's fundamental to deal with their neighbor, or I would say to Palestine or Israel, Iran, let's understand this. Okay, the entire West Asia, Israel is a very tiny country over there, and the entire West Asia is almost against the Israel, if we start from 1948 onwards. And once the Britishers moved out from Israel, and these 5 countries attacked over Israel, and because of the British help only, they anyhow they survived. And there was a consistent effort of the Arab world to wipe out Israel, and it led to the multiple wars. So, in such a situation where Israel is a lone country and fighting with so many countries, so most of the time Israeli attack or retaliation is very harsh, or you can say hard hitting. Even if you take the current context, Hamas attacked and the retaliation is such brutal. So, why it is? If I will refer a scholar here, John Mearsheimer, use the term escalation dominance. Escalation dominance means if Israel engage with any of the player, it try to dominate and almost try to teach a lesson to that country or to that group. So, all the neighboring countries and rest of them should not to dare to go against the Israel. That is what Israel's primary way of dealing with their neighbor. That is why Israel always go for hitting hard, because this is their survival strategy. So, they cannot just go for a small kind of fight, then again new power will come, new groups will form. They just go for hitting them hard, and that is why Israel fundamental way of dealing this. Now, the second aspect is that once Israel hit them hard and almost destroyed most of the countries or captured multiple parts, most of the countries which are earlier against Israel, they come on the negotiation table. The very classic example is Egypt, the classic example is Jordan, and if you talk about the small other countries like under Abraham Accord, even UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, they all come onto the table. So, in a long run, with this strategy, Israel neutralize multiple countries taking a stand against the Israel. Now, this is one of the strategy of Israel to deal with the neighborhood. Sir, I am just going beyond this. Now, this time, Israel was thinking in a similar way. They will teach a lesson, so nobody can dare to rise against the Israel, but things are not going into the line. So, अब आप पूछ सकते हैं।
इस चीज़ से जुड़ा एक और सवाल है कि डू यू थिंक दैट द Israel's strategy is successful? Is it really successful?
That's a very critical question. I do believe that Israeli strategy this time is not very successful, and Israel caught up in a situation that Israel cannot fix it basically. And in fact, it was Iran which trapped Israel this time. How Iran trapped Israel? Because Israel engaged war with Hamas, but gradually all the proxies of Iran, they also get engaged with Israel. So, now Israel is tackling on one hand Hezbollah, on the other hand war against the Hamas is going on, and few air strikes has been done in the case of Houthis. I'll quote here, Iranian foreign minister said at once ki the axis of resistance and Iranian allies are having their fingers on trigger. That simply means that if Israel has to go against the Hamas, they have to face all the other proxies of the Iran. Now, what exactly it means? It has two major applications. The application number one, Hamas will be in position to deter Israel. Now, fighting against the Hamas, going against the Hamas is not only the Hamas, the other proxies will come into that, and it has a long-term impact. So, if anyhow Israel is not able to end this in a successful way, then it may be possible there will be spillover effect of what happened in Gaza into the West Bank too. And it may be possible that the Hamas may make its hold in the other region also. And again, I am just quoting this part, multiple times when Israel was forced to be out from Lebanon against the Hezbollah, Iranian leader compare it to the 6-day war, and they say that the way Israel dominated the war, this time Israel has been forced out to be from Lebanon basically. So, it is something like defeat of the Israel, and it is raising the morale of the people around that. So, resistance against the Israel is specifically among Arabs living in the Israel may come over there. That is a long-term grand strategy if it went unsuccessful basically.
Mathimaran, Raju, back to you.
Yes,
this conflict, especially when we see, and you are the person from background of the world history, you teach World War I, World War II. Do you think that now this conflict and this Russia-Ukraine conflict, all these are heading toward the World War III? Are we on that slippery road that there is a chance the many countries may further slip and they fall into the trap for this?
So that's a $1 billion question. All the experts of the world are breaking their head over this issue. Nothing can be said for sure till the time the response of Israel is traditional. Recently, Iran had proved that the Israeli defenses, particularly the Iron Dome, can be overpowered and breached. If Israel gives a strong response by attacking the oil fields, that will snowball into an oil crisis, probably. We cannot predict the future of that. Second problem, if Israel had been sabotaging the nuclear facilities of Iran in the past through malware attacks in the early 2000s. Now, if there is an outright attack on the nuclear facilities by Israel, probably World War III is on the cards. Probably.
I would like to add on here something. In my opinion, there is less chance of escalation of the war in the region. And specifically when it go to the Third World War, it seems impossible. But although I see a diversion in it, if suppose it happens that US and Israel started targeting nuclear facility of Iran. But again, they are so much deep into the earth, it is very difficult to destroy. And it will give a very strong motive for Iran to make nuclear bomb. In fact, it will become impossible to stop the world to make Iran a bomb.
I would like to add one thing, sir. There were reports already that Iran has quite significant enrichment program.
Yes.
My assessment is, if the recent attack 2 days back, if we see, they must have obviously worked out something. And I won't be surprised, sir. My interpretation is slightly different here, although I am sitting between the experts here, that this thing obviously somewhere, if we see, like last year we announced this India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, and after a few days this war started. And obviously for India the challenge here is this thing also, कि अगर ये ईरान ने किया है तो कहीं ना कहीं इसका बेनिफिशियरी चाइना है सर इस वॉर का। तो और हो सकता है सर, पाकिस्तान का ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड प्रोलिफरेशन में हम सब जानते हैं, तो क्वाइट पॉसिबल कि ईरान और पाकिस्तान के बीच में किसी तरह का नेक्सस हो, क्योंकि जहाँ तक मैं देख पा रहा हूँ कि शायद अब ईरान और पाकिस्तान के बीच में वो शिया सुन्नी से ऊपर बातें होने लगी हैं, वो दैट इज इट। सो सर पाकिस्तान का हमें सब मालूम है, तो जो ईरान ने ये किया है तो उन्होंने भी ये कैलकुलेशन किया होगा कि रिटेलिएशन होगा। तो अगर ऐसा होता है जैसे
अब ये रिटेलिएशन में सपोज इजराइल स्टार्ट्स टारगेटिंग दी जो रिजर्व्स ऑफ द इनके ईरान का जो होगा, मतलब जो बॉम्ब्स एंड द मिसाइल्स एंड द एटॉमिक बॉम्ब्स, देन
सर उसके लिए सर उन्होंने एक जगह है QOM ईरान में, वहाँ पे उन्होंने अंडरग्राउंड बंकर्स वगैरह बनाए हुए हैं। तो जितना भी क्रिटिकल न्यूक्लियर इंफ्रा है उनका सर उन्होंने वहाँ पर शिफ्ट कर दिया है।
बट आपको अगर पता है तो मोसाद को तो पहले से ही पता होगा कि कहाँ से किया है।
नहीं मतलब उसमें सर जो न्यूज़पेपर में हम पढ़ते हैं, और सर इंडिया के लिए ट्रिकी सिचुएशन ये भी है चाबहार सर। और इंडिया के लिए एक और प्रॉब्लम ये जो ईरान ने जो किया है कि हम जो अफगानिस्तान को एक ऑल्टरनेटिव देना चाहते थे ईरान के जरिए, अगर ये एस्केलेट होता है तो हमारे लिए तो वो ऑप्शन बंद हो जाएगा सर। दैट इज
रेडी टू यू with this crisis. Now we discussed how the crude oil prices are going up. What India should take steps so that we can create the energy self-dependency?
So already India doing very good in this manner. Number one, after the Russia-Ukraine war itself, we started shifting from Gulf countries to especially Russia. Recently we are purchasing more from Russia, number one. Number two, the non-OPEC countries, sir. Number three, the way India is spending on renewable energy, be it solar energy, wind energy, we are doing very good there. Number four, if you see our forex reserves right now, sir, almost we can cover the almost 11 months of imports. Almost we have $690 billion of forex reserves right now. And even India is exploring to improve the expansion of strategic reserves, like in Mangalore, in Podur, in Karnataka, etc., in Visakhapatnam. So most importantly, we have to diversify our trade partners. but we can focus say importing from USA. Number one, number two, Africa. Number three, sir, Russia already we are engaging, and already we are spending renewable energy, sir.
So Piyush ji, before concluding, we can take some questions from students who have put their questions in comment box. If India has to support either Israel or Iran, what should be the India's stand?
So, I would simply say that in foreign policy, most of the countries do not take the sides. In fact, they prefer to connect with both of the countries.
And India proved during the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yes. Although Western states keep on saying a swing state, but technically, I don't think that India will take a complete side of Israel against the Iran. In fact, India is the only country which tried to develop a relationship with all three power centers, with Saudi Arabia, with Israel and with Iran. Otherwise, China is more into Iran side and Saudi Arabia is more into Saudi Arabia and Israel side basically. But India is the only which is sharing economic and defense relation with almost two of the country and economic relationship with the Iran. And Iran has a great geo-economic importance for India, as sir explained about the Chabar port and entry to the Eurasian region or up to the Russia. That is not possible without Iran.
Modi ji to
so I don't think that India will compromise its economic interest.
Modi ji to Putin के गले में भी हाथ डाल देते हैं और बाइडेन के गले में भी हाथ डाल देते हैं.
Actually, Indian policy is dehyphenated in West Asia. हम सबको engage कर रहे हैं सर, ईरान को भी, इसराइल को भी और अरब्स को भी सर यहाँ पर.
दोस्तों बहुत कुछ है इस टॉपिक में डिस्कशन करने के लिए एंड यूपीएससी लाइक कि देयर आर मैनी डायमेंशंस विच कैन बी कवर्ड फॉर द यूपीएससी पर्सपेक्टिव but we have limited time and we try to limit our discussion in line of the UPSC requirement and we try to be very neutral and that is our approach. But definitely everyone has his or her own way of answering and talking. So ideologies are there but we try to be on neutral front. How do you find this discussion, whether it was useful to you and what type of discussion you want? We expect your expert comments in our comment box. Please do comment and tell us कि what you would like to see our discussion और ये भी बताइए कि what you don't like so that we can take care of those things and we can come out up to your expectations. So in today's talk only this much. Stay happy, stay safe. Jai Hind.